Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to a brand new episode of Boss Babes. I'm your host, Brittany Baldy, with the Boss Babes Lifestyle Sports Podcast. I could not be more thrilled to have Blake Bolden with me. We have been trying to connect for a number of months now, but this girl is so freaking busy. She is all over the place, from the West Coast to the East Coast, at the ice hockey rink, creating her own ice hockey sticks, scouting for pro ice hockey teams. You name it, this girl does it all. Blake, how are you? Thank you so much for joining me today.
You made me tired with that description, but I'm great. I'm stoked to be here.
Oh my gosh, I know. Like, you do so much. It's so hard to even get in touch with you. So I'm so happy that you are able to join me today. You are a trailblazer in the hockey world. You are a pro ice hockey player, the NHL's first ever female Black pro scout. You actually scout for the LA Kings. I cannot wait to talk about that. I think that's so freaking cool. You actually created your own ice hockey stick, and it's actually out right now, but there are waves of these sticks being released. I saw as of most recent, they're going to be out this week. I can't wait to talk about it. And there's some coming out in June as well.
Mm-hmm.
And one of your slogans is "Be Bold." It's actually a play on words from your name, obviously Blake Bolden. So I wanted to start with that. What exactly does being bold mean to you, and how do you break down barriers in the ice hockey world?
Yeah, being bold to me is just finding out who you are and sticking to it and not wavering. I think there are so many different things going on in our world, so many distractions. Younger kids have social media. And when I was younger, I was just trying to figure out who I was. And sometimes I strayed from that and I didn't feel good about who I was inside. And being bold is definitely making your own rules, asking questions, pushing the ceiling, breaking the glass ceiling, not just pushing it, and just being authentically you.
That's an excellent answer. And you actually grew up in Ohio. So what was it like being the younger version of Blake? Obviously, I'd assume now you're in your mid-20s, maybe early 30s. I think you were born in 1991, if I'm correct. Correct me if I'm wrong. So you are in your early 20s?
Well, I am 30. I just turned 30 in March.
Ooh, well, happy birthday, girl. Welcome to the dirty 30s.
Yes, I'm here. I'm ready for it. I feel like I'm 20 still, so it's all good. We're all learning.
I love it. Yes, we are all still learning, but you grew up in Ohio. What were your younger years like? Did you have any siblings? Paint the picture for what it was like growing up in Ohio.
Okay, growing up in Ohio, my mother was a young mom. She had me when she was 21. I think, she was on this educational path, and then whoops, here I come along. And she was a boss enough to say, this is my responsibility. I want to give this kid the world. And it was just her and I for the first 6 years of my life. And she was a hustler. You talk about all the things that I'm doing. I can only do all of these things because I had a strong mom who provided for me. She had many different jobs, and sometimes we were moving around in Cleveland, in the Akron area. So I am always moving. I'm never standing still. And being a young kid was awesome. I was an only child, and I was shy. I was really shy. I didn't really talk too much because I mentioned before, we moved around a lot. So quite often I was a new kid in a school. And that's a part of being bold, is to kind of be like, you know what, I'm new and that's fine. And I need to get to know people and I need to open myself up. But I was in a shell as a kid. And I think when I found ice hockey, it allowed me to open myself up and become strong and empowered and confident. And I credit that to my mom's boyfriend. When I was 6, they met, and his favorite sport was ice hockey. And he used to take me to the Gund Arena in Cleveland, Ohio, where the Cavs played. But now, or back then, it was the IHL, and the Cleveland Lumberjacks were there. So I would go to all these games, and I would be able to go into the locker room because he had a media pass, because he worked part-time as a security guard there. And it was awesome. It was like going to the amusement park every game that I got to go to. So I had like this interesting upbringing, but it kind of perpetuated and allowed me to open up and just share the love of the game with everybody.
I love how you are able to talk about the fact that you grew up with your mom and your mom kind of had you at a young age, which I feel like back in the day, that was kind of the thing. Like my mom actually had me at age 23. Her and my dad met in high school. So that was definitely the thing back in the day, people getting married young and having kids young. So don't feel like you are the only one out there, girl. But I love how you are showcasing your skills and your talents. And I like that ice hockey helped you take you out of your shell. And it sounds like you were the only child. I can't wait to hear all about ice hockey. But do you have any fun birthday party memories? Did you celebrate your birthday when you were younger? And if you did, like, do you have anything special that sticks out in mind?
Absolutely. Actually, my 10th birthday, when my mom and her boyfriend, who I call my father to this day because he has been just that. So I'll just go ahead and say my mom and my dad, they pretended that they didn't remember that it was my birthday when I was 10 years old. And I woke up, I was like, oh yes, I'm 10. I'm in the double digits. I'm so grown. And I was in the stages of just like power skating every Sunday. And my birthday had fallen on a Sunday. And it was power skating Sunday. So we packed up the car. We went to the rink. And to my surprise, my folks contacted everyone in the school that I was going to and invited them to the rink. And my parents rented out the space and we were ice skating and had pizza, and the mascot for the Cleveland Lumberjacks came. And it was just like probably one of the cooler birthdays that I've experienced as a kid.
That sounds like an amazing birthday party, especially for them to kind of act like, hey, Blake, like, I don't know it's your birthday. What are you talking about? And then to completely surprise you. And do you have any favorite childhood vacation spots that you and your family enjoyed? Whether you went to, I don't know, say you guys went to Disney World, did you like to go to like Boston? Did you go to like Hawaii? Where did you guys enjoy vacationing?
Well, vacationing wasn't a huge thing in my family because both of my parents were just hustlers. They were just grinding with different jobs. And also, I was getting to the point where I was playing a lot of ice hockey. So there is no vacation time for Thanksgiving because there's always a tournament. For Christmas, there was always a tournament. Spring break, there was always something going on, or a camp to go to develop my skills. But I do remember one time my dad won the lottery. Get this, he won the lottery and took us on a cruise, a carnival cruise to like Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. And it was pretty much one of the coolest things ever because it was just so random. He was like, guys, I won some money. Let's go on vacation. And so that was pretty sick. But other than that, we were pretty low key, just like we got hockey to do. We got places to go. So that was it.
Amazing. Well, it sounds like you definitely had a super fun childhood, and obviously your adulthood is beyond wild and bizarre. Like, you are literally living the dream. Please stay with us, guys. You guys are now listening to Blake Bolden, athlete, and she's a freaking female scout for the LA Kings. I didn't even know that there were different types of position scouts, so I can't wait to learn all about it. I'm sure you guys are interested in it as well. Obviously, Blake is talking all about her younger years and the fact that she grew up in Ohio. It sounds like she's very close to her mom and her father. Do you have anything else from your childhood that sticks out in your mind that's very special to you before we start switching into sports?
Yeah, I mean, I just had a great upbringing. I think it was something that shaped my character. My parents weren't afraid to just like push me out there to experience new things, especially when I would go off with playing hockey by myself. They'd be like, yeah, you could do that. Yeah, you could go to Canada, across the border. I'll write you a little parental note. So I was always doing something. I was always going somewhere. And my parents were just rock stars for that. You never really think about how much they sacrifice and give to you until you're older, and now you're 30 and you're like, I don't think I could take care of a child right now. So love you, mom and dad, so much.
It sounds like they were both very inspirational to you, both in the past and present. And speaking of people that were inspirational in your life, what sports did you enjoy watching as a kid? Obviously, whether it be on TV or in person. I know that you enjoyed watching hockey, which we will get to shortly. So what sports did you enjoy watching? And are there any athletes in particular that you looked up to as a child, both male and female, of course?
Yeah, I watched a lot of track and field. I thought Sonia Richards Ross was awesome. I ran track in addition to playing ice hockey, so I did the 400, the 200, the 4x1. I thought I was really fast. I think it attributed to my speed on the ice, and I really obviously like Serena Williams and Venus Williams. I thought they were just trailblazers in a predominantly white sport, which I felt that I could relate to playing ice hockey. And my dad would always force me to watch the NHL, especially playoffs. My favorite team were the Detroit Red Wings. I love Steve Yzerman. I loved Brett Hull. I wanted to have a slap shot just like him and break like a million sticks in a game. I love Brendan Shanahan. Like those are my guys, and they were so good. So it helped that I was favoring a winning team. I was a kid that just really loved to play more so than watch, if you know what I mean.
It sounds like you have been immersed in the sport of ice hockey from a very young age. We're going to be talking about that very soon. I find it very interesting, though, that you got into track and field, and that kind of, you said, attributed maybe to your speed a little bit. So can we talk about that a little bit more? Did you do that competitively, or was it more for fun?
Yeah, it was more of a thing where my mom did the high jump, and I think she might still have not the collegiate, but the high school record in Cleveland Heights for it. Probably not, but she used to. She would brag to me about it, and I just wanted to try it. I thought it was cool, and long jump was awesome. I thought jumping in a huge box of sand seemed really cool, and I just like to compete. I love being in a lane next to someone at their very best against you at your very best was kind of what drove me to run track.
Amazing answer. I love hearing how competitive you were at such a freaking young age. Girl, it sounds like you knew that you were going to be into sports for the long haul. And and hockey at a young age, I know you kind of already talked about it, but your dad worked for the Cleveland Lumberjacks of the IHL. So for those of you guys that don't know, it's called the International Hockey League. So did this kind of like pique your interest from a young age about the sport? Obviously, you watched it as a kid. You loved the Detroit Red Wings. But being at the ice hockey rink with your father, did that kind of pique your interest even more?
It was just so much fun because I was a younger kid. I was an only child. And as I said before, I was a bit shy. So when I would go to the rink and people like Jock Hollander would come up to me and ask me how I'm doing before they're strapping up to go play ice hockey, I thought that was so cool that I could just feel like I was friends with a whole group of amazing athletes. And the drive there, because at that point I lived in Akron, so it was a 40-minute drive, 45-minute drive to Cleveland. And that was just a great bonding experience that I had with my dad. While he was working and running around the rink, I was kind of running around in different suites upstairs, getting popcorn, just watching the game. And it was amazing. So yes, it definitely enhanced my love for the game for sure.
I love how you just described how the sport of ice hockey and what it was like being around that sport at such a young age. And from there, obviously watching the sport and being around it at such a young age with your dad, you started playing minor youth hockey for the Cleveland Barons and the Ohio Flames. So was that a co-ed team or all female? And at what age did you start playing? And then also, what made you want to become a defenseman and maybe not want to be a goalie or maybe not want to be a forward? Let's talk a little bit about your younger years playing in Cleveland.
Yeah, fun fact, I've actually never put on a set of goalie pads ever in my life. I just never thought that was interesting. I grew up at this time when I started playing hockey. I was in Akron, Ohio, so pretty far away from Cleveland. We found Kent State Ice Arena that was 10 minutes from my house at the time. And I didn't know how to skate. I had never skated before. So I had to play in a pretty uh, funny house league. It was co-ed, but mostly boys. And we were terrible. I was on the B team my first year playing competitive hockey. Then 2 years after that, I was like, you know what? I'm getting pretty good. My parents are shipping me off to all these camps, and I got power skating every Sunday. I'm going to try out for AAA boys hockey. I made the team, the Cleveland Barons, and that was just like such a proud moment for my dad. I remember in tryouts, he was like sick to his stomach. He could barely eat. Like he was so nervous for me because he knew that I'd be crushed if I didn't make it. And I don't know how he would feel if I didn't make it, but he knew that I really wanted to be the best. And when I was playing boys hockey, it was what was it, squirt back then I started. And there was hitting back then in squirt hockey. So they took that out and moved it. They pushed it back. But back then there was hitting. And my coach was like, you know what, Blake, I don't know if forward is going to be a situation where you'll be successful, you know, just forechecking and getting smoked. So they moved me back to defense. And I found that I could angle better. I could read plays better. I could be more aggressive if I was the aggressor instead of the person that was basically being punched on.
Well, that's amazing that you started off, again, playing at such a young age. And it sounds like you were very determined to definitely not ever want to be a goalie. And
Yeah.
it sounds like you had a lot of fun learning what it was like to be a defenseman, and obviously playing alongside all of those male figures. It sounds like that kind of helped you develop your skills into the woman that you are now, which is freaking cool. I mean, I've talked to a number of female athletes, myself included, where I always wanted to play with the freaking boys too. Like I remember I signed up for softball and I really wanted to play baseball. So I feel like when you're naturally athletic and naturally gifted, you don't even want to play with girls sometimes all the time. You want to either play co-ed or with the guys. So girl, I feel you.
Yeah, I just wanted to play on the best team in the state, and that was it. And luckily it was in Cleveland, 45 minutes away. So it was great also to have that opportunity to play with the Ohio Flames. I remember I was maybe 12 or my early teens playing on the 19U team for the Ohio Flames and being like, hey, Blake, can we borrow you for this tournament? And yeah, sure. I just want to play hockey. I'll join you guys. And that was really fun to see girls that were older than you playing the sport and to know that I can continue to play if I want to.
And I know that you went from playing competitively, and while you were playing competitively, you actually went to school in Lake Placid. You were involved in a lot of top ice hockey programs at the Northwood School in Lake Placid. So how was it moving away from Ohio, living in Lake Placid, which I believe is in New York? And what made you decide to pursue that goal of going to Lake Placid for that specific ice hockey program?
Yeah, it was just a time where I knew that I needed to switch to girls hockey. The boys were getting bigger. I had kind of made a name for myself and everybody knew that I was a girl. And so there was a huge target on my back occasionally. Well, not occasionally, there was a huge target on my back. And so I was 13. I had to move on. I had to go play girls hockey because I wanted to play collegiately. And there were no female collegiate coaches that were coming to a boys AAA team. It just wasn't happening. And it was out of the luck of a brother of the coach of Northwood School, or was it a brother or a friend? I don't really remember. Someone who knew the coach at Northwood School contacted Thomas Broderick, who is still a mentor to me to this day, and was like, yo, you got to check out this girl. She can skate. Like, I think she would really be good for your team. And they contacted my parents. My parents were like, oh, that's 10 hours away from home. That's a little weird. Let's go check it out. Blake, do you want to go? And I said, heck yeah, that's awesome. I could be by myself. That sounds cool. And so we drove up there. I loved it. It's beautiful. It's in the Adirondacks and in the middle of this amazing mountain range. And there was just so much love and appreciation for me to potentially be on the team. It just seemed like a good fit.
So you enjoyed your time in Lake Placid. It sounds like you wanted to spend some time away, maybe to grow aside from being with your family. So that's awesome that you made that decision to go to Lake Placid. What were some of your, it's kind of like off topic, not really a hockey question, I guess, but while you were there, what did you like to do in your free time? I'm sure you used to go out with your teammates or you made friends while being at school. So what did you like to do for fun in your free time aside from hockey? And what were some of your favorite food spots in Lake Placid?
Oh, man. Well, I really liked, okay, so once a year we would do something called Mountain Day, and we would just not go to school. And like I said, there's tons of mountain ranges, and all of us would be broken up into different groups and we would summit a mountain. And it was absolutely breathtaking when you got to the top. I mean, I was from Cleveland, Ohio, super flat, not really that exciting, to just nature and greenery. So I really just loved getting outside. I also rode because in prep school you have to have a winter sport, a spring sport, and then we had three sports. So a fall sport, a winter sport, and a spring sport. And so for fall and spring, I would row because I thought that was good for my endurance. And it was another skill that was just really fun to learn. There was not a lot of kids in my school, maybe about 180. So I just had my crew of friends, and we called them loser laps because we'd walk around Mirror Lake and sometimes go to the movie, or sometimes, just hang out at a restaurant. There was really good pizza shops. I don't remember the names, but I do remember when Starbucks came for the first time and everybody thought that was the coolest thing in the world. But it was a village and it was very small. So there wasn't a lot to do besides spend time with your friends or play whatever sport you were doing.
Yeah, that's super cool that they actually made you do those three sports, even if you were there for that one specific sport, which obviously you were there for ice hockey. But
Yeah.
that's pretty amazing that you doing those other sports probably helped you stay very fit and, like you said, worked on your endurance for your performance playing ice hockey. And was it super cold there? Like, what was the weather like? I've heard like Lake Placid is like
No.
the spot for hockey, so you probably froze your butt off.
Sometimes I would walk outside and like if I had gone in the shower and I had my hair wet, like my hair would be frozen, or some nostrils, some stuff would be frozen, and I'd be like, oh no, like this is not the day. I think the coldest it got was negative 25 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's too cold for anybody, I think.
That is definitely too cold for anybody. You guys are now listening to Blake Bolden. She's an athlete and a LA King scout. Obviously, a female professional ice hockey player as well. Stay with us. I'm your host, Brittany Baldy of the Boss Babes Lifestyle Sports Podcast. Please follow us on iTunes and Spotify. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are going to jump right back into competitive hockey. So we are discussing the fact that you grew up in Ohio, very close to your mom and dad. Your mom had you in her early 20s. You guys grew up, had like an awesome bond. You moved on, went to school in Lake Placid, really rocked it at school, it sounds like, and making friends and hockey programs and all types of fun stuff. Competitive hockey. So in 2008 and 2009, you won gold for the under 18 World Championships for Team USA. So I wanted to ask you, what was that whole experience like, and how did you actively contribute to those big W's?
Oh man, I mean, it was cool. It was so cool because that was those were the first two U18 national teams that were created. And so there was this huge swell and wave of excitement for all countries, and an opportunity for women to find their other peers that were at their level. And that was just an honor to be able to represent my country, and then to be able to travel to different countries was really cool. So the first year we were in Canada, and I mean, we beat Canada with fans that were like booing us, like they were not pleased that we won that first one. And I was young, so I don't think I contributed that much. I actually think I rode the bench a lot. The second year, though, I became more confident, and I had some points up there and thrived, if you will.
And were you able to keep your gold medals, or was it just like one trophy and everybody gets to hold on to it for like a week or a couple of days, or did you each get your own individual gold medals? And if so, where are these gold medals? Are you holding on to them for your future man cave?
My mother is holding on to them for my future man cave. She actually has like an entire wall of awards and All-Americans and first team this and my gold medals. She's a super fan.
I love it. So it sounds like you did get to keep your gold medals. That's freaking amazing. Girl, you have been absolutely crushing it. So of course we need to talk about Boston College. So what the heck made you want to go from Ohio to Lake Placid and then, I want to play in Boston? Obviously, that's where I grew up, so I think it's super cool that you are familiar with the area. So why did you want to attend Boston College? And then I do want to talk about playing ice hockey at Boston College because it sounds like you freaking crush it. So I'm going to read out some of your stats.
Oh yeah, girl. Build up my confidence here. BC was somewhere that I had tunnel vision. It was like one of those competitive things where it's just like, I'm going there, I'm not going anywhere else. I saw BC play in Lake Placid at the Frozen Four. They were hosting the Frozen Four at her Brooks Arena, and I got to just go because my school was less than a mile away. And I thought it was so cool that a school that was getting, going into 3 overtimes with Minnesota Duluth, and they lost. And for whatever reason, my mom was like, I want to go there. I think that would be sweet to go and change a program. At this point, I was getting a lot of notoriety, and a lot of college coaches wanted me, but I met Katie King at a USA Hockey event. She was my coach for my second U18 team. And I was just like, look, like, you're awesome. Boston's an amazing city. I know you've probably heard of the Beantown tournament. So I got to visit there with my dad, and I was like, Boston's amazing. I'm going to go to BC. Everything's going to be great. And I'm just going to rock it there.
I'm glad that you ended up. And that's exactly what happened. I'm glad you ended up in the City of Champions. It sounds like you had an amazing college experience, which we will talk about shortly. Especially I want to touch upon the ice hockey. But aside from ice hockey, what did you learn about the city of Boston, and what have you learned about it so far? Are there any favorite restaurants that you enjoy going to? What do you like to do with your friends in your downtime?
Well, I really love Neptune Oyster in the North End. I think that's probably my favorite restaurant in Boston. I was gonna say restaurant in Boston. The lobster rolls there are out of control. The North End's just got some really good food that I had no idea until I got there. In Commonwealth Ave, I mean, there's some really good Asian spots that I love. I fell in love with ramen and saba noodles, and there's just so much culture in Boston and so many different, it's the melting pot. It's literally called the melting pot. And I love the history. I love the architecture, the cobblestone roads. Like, the traffic is terrible, but there's just something in the air that just breathes like champions and excellence and hard work that you kind of just thrive off of living there.
That's literally the most perfect answer I think I could have heard from somebody that's actually not from Boston. You described it to a T, though. It is a melting pot. There are so many different cultures and so many people, and everybody just kind of comes together. And the one weird thing that most people enjoy in the city, you hit the nails on the head, are good food, awesome lobster rolls, and sports. So it's like everybody, whether you're from Ohio, you're from California, or you're from Massachusetts, everybody seems to agree on that we have awesome sports and we have great food. So I want to ask you, any funny college memories that you could share with me, whether it be with your team or with your friends? And then what did you study in college?
Well, college memories are, I would say, appropriate, but we had our fun, right? I think one of my favorite college memories, and this will be a hockey memory because that's really all I did was play hockey. We were losing on my birthday. We were in NCAA's Final 8, and we had to win this game to go to the Final 4. And it was my junior year. We were down playing St. Lawrence, and right before the second period, I just stopped this 3-on-1. So the transition was going. People had changed, and it was myself and Mary Restuccia, and we went down. I scored on my birthday, and for whatever reason, we won the game, and then we celebrated like rock stars after, because we had actually overcome adversity on my birthday, which was amazing. I'm mentioning it again, but it was just like the greatest birthday gift ever to be able to contribute and then go to the Frozen Four for like the second year in a row, which was school record-breaking history at that point. So yeah, I think that was one of my favorite memories, apart from winning Hockey East, bean pots, all that stuff. But yeah,
that is an amazing, memorable memory from attending college. It sounds like it happened right around your birthday. You had an excellent game, an excellent weekend. You guys went out, you celebrated. So I absolutely love that memory that you just shared with us. Again, you guys are now listening to Blake Bolden, athlete and LA King scout. She is talking all about Boston, which is where I am from. And this podcast is called Boss Babes for a reason, not only for women empowerment, but of course, BOSS, BOS, is short for Boston. So Blake, again, thank you so much for joining me today. Shout out to Blue Sky Sports and Entertainment. I love that company. They do so many amazing things in and around the Boston area, and Blake is actually teamed up with them now. So let's hop right into it. Hockey at Boston College. I'm going to read off some of your stats. For those of you guys that don't know, Blake actually played at Boston College. Not only did she attend Boston College, she obviously played there. She just gave you a memory from playing at BC. She appeared in 37 games as a captain her senior year, totaling 29 points, so 6 goals and 23 assists. She actually had 7 multi-point games that year and ranked second all-time for BC defensemen in points, goals, and assists. Lots and lots of accolades while in college, playing hockey and academically as well, including first-team Hockey East All-Star, first-team New England All-Star, and you actually earned the Athletic Director's Award for Academic Achievement Honors. So you obviously have way more accolades than that, but I just picked out a couple of them. What does it mean to you to be such a decorated athlete, both academically and as an athlete?
I don't know. It's something that you just perform and you do what you do and you do the best that you can, right? And hopefully when it's all said and done, you can look back and say, I did a good job. And I guess hearing you say all of that reminds me that I did a good job, and I made my mom proud, and she's happy, as you can imagine, with her wall of fame. So if I can make my mama proud, I'm happy too.
I guess it leads into my next question. How were you able to stay on top of your athletics and academics? I'm sure for most student athletes, not just you, it must be very demanding. I mean, having to go to class, having to keep up those grades, and then on top of the training, and maybe you had like a little side job on the side to make money to pay off those student loans or whatever the heck you had to pay for your car. How were you able to time manage being an amazing athlete and student?
Yeah, I saved up money in the summer. I grinded like with my mom. She had a business and I was working for her in the summer and making some change that I could spend in the year. So I had to be responsible. But around that, I mean, BC is such a great school academically that they really don't mess around with bad grades at all. So if you're ever wavering, they're like, how can we help you? Let's get you into study hall. Let's get you some resources so you can succeed. And that's something that I really appreciate, because I am not a genius. I'm not a book whiz. I had to work really hard and I had to use a lot of resources. And I'm grateful for the school for that opportunity and support. But I mean, you do what you got to do. I do know that on weekends where we had games, it was really hard for me to focus on anything else because I'm so competitive that I'm like, okay, it's game day. Like, gotta lock it in. But you just find time to make it work. It's something that when you get out of college, you're like, dang, I really miss the structure that I had, the 6 a.m. workouts and then class from 9 to X and practice and then going and studying. It's like you had a regimented schedule. So if you're an organized person, you can follow a schedule. It's not that difficult. But out of college, you're like, dang, what do? I gotta go work out at my own volition right now? That stinks.
You obviously are doing a great job at time management currently because you are involved in so many things. Guys, stick with us. Blake is going to be talking to us about going pro in the ice hockey world as a female. We are going to touch upon ice hockey in college a little bit more. And then I cannot wait. I'm actually super interested to learn all about her being an LA Kings pro scout and the fact that she's a freaking ice hockey stick out right now. I don't know if it was custom made or if she helped develop it. She's obviously going to answer all those questions for us, but please stick with us. Blake is teaching us so much about the ice hockey world and what it means to be a female professional athlete that is dominating essentially in a male's dominated sport. So congratulations to you. Are there any other top hockey memories that you want to share with us? I know you already just shared one with us earlier, but do you have any other top hockey memories that you would like to share, whether it be from the Bean Pot or celebrating with your friends or a favorite game or a favorite ice hockey rink that you skated at?
No crazy memories. I loved a BU's rink. Even though they were the opposition, I always showed up ready to play there. It was really fun. So that's about it. But yeah, no, BC was great. Living in Boston was great. I stayed there 4 years after. So Boston's a second home to me.
Awesome. Boston is such a great city, and I'm glad you got to spend so much time there. Hopefully, you get to go back and visit once in a while. And let's switch on over. Going pro. It sounds like you played at the top of your game at the collegiate level at BC. So you went pro. What ultimately made you decide to go from college, like the collegiate level, over to pro? I understand you played in the CWHL for the Boston Blades. You also played in the NWHL. Some of my good friends actually just won the Isabelle Cup. So shout out to
Nice.
the Boston Pride. So you played actually for the Boston Pride and the Buffalo Butte. So let's first talk about why the heck did you even want to go pro right after school?
Why did I want to go pro? Because I did not know what I wanted to do with my life. Short answer. Long answer is I was at a really good place my senior year of college, and I wanted to continue to play with the national team. And the Olympics were in Sochi in 2014. So I thought that was a nice segue into centralization, into just prepping for the Olympics. And unfortunately, they were like, we don't want you. So I went back home. I cried. I took my degree and I looked at it and I said, I don't know what I want to do with this. And then I got a few teammates and some friends and a couple of coaches in Boston, Digit Murphy being one of them, that are like, Blake, you are too darn good at this sport to just hang them up because you didn't make an Olympic team. And so I just said, you're right. I'm going back to Boston. I don't have a job. I don't have a career path, but I'm going to somehow land on my feet and make it work. And I did.
That is literally such a powerful statement that you just made. And I feel like you can speak for a number of kids, myself included. After college, you're still young. Like, you don't really know what you want to do for the rest of your life. It's kind of like, especially if you have a passion like you did with ice hockey, you don't want to hang up those ice skates. You want to continue to chase that dream. So congratulations to you continuing to play or go pro for a while. Are you still currently pro now, or are you just focusing mainly on being a scout?
I'm right now focused on being a scout. I don't know if you want to talk about it later, but the women's game is kind of fragmented, and I just want to support women and give women a place to play sustainably and be compensated for that, because I understand what it's like to play and live in Boston, have to work a full-time job, and then practice at 10 o'clock at night, travel on a bus for 10 hours, not have facilities, not have trainers, not have anything. I know how that is. So I want to hopefully make women's hockey affordable, or not affordable, but get that money to those ladies and those resources in the future.
That is excellent. I actually just recently shared out. It looked like the salary cap. I don't know if it was like this for every team in the NWHL. I think it was 150,000. It looks like they just doubled that, and which is kind of a jump. So congratulations to you guys that they are trying to make that push for ladies like yourself. So hopefully women like you can continue to make that push. I guess we could talk about that a little bit now if you want to, before we continue talking about going pro. Are there any steps that you have to make in order to make the salary cap a little bit bigger, or to make women's sports, not even just ice hockey, but like soccer, every women's sport, like you guys are not being paid equally to men?
Yeah. And I don't even think equally is the right word, because we have to be given an opportunity to succeed. And that opportunity just starts from marketing, representation, legitimate support from sponsors or organizations, foundations that are like, you know what, you guys are worth it, and see the value of and the effort that we put in. Because you see those US national players, and it's so unfortunate that Worlds was canceled, and it's such a bummer, but they put in so much effort. It is their career, right? And so how are they to have another career on top of all the energy that they're expending? So we're just asking for support. We're asking for a little bit of validity and organization to bring us all together and show the world what we're truly capable of.
Love hearing this from you because, again, going back to a few of my friends that play for the Boston Pride, one of them actually graduated from Yale and she actually does cancer research. And Jillian Dempsey is a teacher. All of you women, like you said, have multiple jobs on top of playing ice hockey. So you guys are all freaking crushing it.
And I actually got the chance to visit her while she was teaching, and she is the best teacher ever and such a great leader and good captain. And I'm glad she won that second championship because I was fortunate enough to win the first one with her.
But yes, you are correct. She did go to Harvard and she is a teacher in her local town of Winthrop, Massachusetts.
Yeah, exactly.
But I give you ladies, all of you ladies, so much props for being able to, again, like you said, not only play pro, but be able to hold a freaking full-time job and stay focused on training and doing whatever you happen to be doing in your full-time career. But let's go back to talking about pro. And again, I hope all of you women banding together, myself included, that's part of the reason why I have this podcast, is to let people like yourself showcase your stories and to get these messages out there. So you did tons of traveling. Again, we already talked about you playing the CWHL, the NWHL. You actually played overseas a little bit in the Swiss Women's Hockey League. So how was that playing over there as well?
Oh, it was probably the biggest character building choice that I made in my life because I decided to cancel everything that I was doing and go to a whole nother country where I didn't know a single person, didn't speak the language. It was scary, but it was one of the best decisions I made. And I have great friends from playing over there, and it was fun. It was so fun. Europe is absolutely beautiful, and Lugano is a very stunning location.
And let's talk about your experience winning the Isabelle Cup with the NWHL. I believe that obviously was with the Boston Pride. In the Clarkson Cup, you were a Clarkson Cup champion in the Canadian WHL. So what is it like having won 2 championships at the pro level? Again, your mom is probably so freaking thrilled that you are crushing it at every level.
I try to make mom happy, her sacrifices. Yeah, it was amazing because it was my second year playing pro hockey, and we had studs on my team like Brianna Decker and Casey Bellamy and Megan Duggan, and we just really had no excuse not to win. So I was really happy that we won. Oh, and I forgot Hillary Knight. Wow, it was incredible. We won in Canada. We got to bring it back over the border because Boston was the only American team in the CWHL. At that time, and then to flip over to the NWHL the next season immediately after and win back-to-back championships in different leagues. And for the NWHL, for it being its inaugural championship, was very important.
And do you have any advice for the young listeners that may be listening, or for parents that might be listening to this podcast episode that might want to get either their son or daughter into the sport of ice hockey? Can you give any advice to those people?
Well, the only advice I would give to parents, one would just be to support your kids, and if they're giving the effort that they need, maybe not push them too hard so they get burnt out. But yeah, let them have fun and support them. And for the kids, I would say appreciate your dang parents and work hard. And it's such a fun sport that you can love for the rest of your life. You can play pickup until you're 70 years old if you want to. You can be a lifelong fan of the game. It's the fastest, coolest game on earth. So I think you can't go wrong in the sport, and we're only evolving and changing for years to come. So join us.
But you guys just heard it straight from Blake's mouth. Some great advice on if you are either a parent trying to get your kid into the sport of ice hockey, whether you have a daughter or a son, or B, if you are a kid, just go out there, have fun, enjoy the sport. It's ever evolving, and you can play it whether you're 1 year old or 7 years old. It's an excellent sport that can keep you in shape. But I want to wrap up the whole topic of ice hockey as far as you playing. I loved listening to you talk all about going pro, playing at the collegiate level, the fact that you grew up in Ohio and you have been immersed in the sport of ice hockey at such a young age. Again, you guys are now listening to Blake Bolden, professional female ice hockey player and LA Kings scout. We're going to be talking about the LA Kings right now. First off, I think it's freaking badass that you are a scout. Second of
Thank
all, how the
you.
heck did you even become a scout? Like, what made you be like, okay, I don't know if I want to play pro anymore, but I want to stay involved with the sport. So, how did you go from playing to becoming a scout? And why did you choose the LA Kings of all teams?
I think the LA Kings chose me. No, I'm just kidding. I actually decided to leave Boston because I needed a fresh feel. I came back from Switzerland and I wanted something that was going to shake my life and turn it upside down because I had no fear at that point. So my partner and I, my boyfriend, we live in San Diego together. And for this random event, I was introduced to Black Girl Hockey Club, and from my relationship with Renee Hess, I was like, "Hey, Renee, like you're going to be at Staples Center. I definitely want to come hang out with you guys, see what Black Girl Hockey Club is all about." And from that experience, we were walking down in the tunnel where the Zamboni comes out, and Luc Robitaille is our president of the Los Angeles Kings, not my president then, but my president now of the Los Angeles Kings, and comes over and introduces himself to the group. And I mean, it's Luc Robitaille. So I'm in awe. I'm enamored. I'm like, should I go talk to him? Should I? I don't know. And I went over, I introduced myself. He was like, yeah, I know all about girls hockey, women's hockey. You guys are crushing it, pushing the needle forward for you guys and your sport. And I think that's really cool. By the way, have you ever thought about being a scout? And I had to stop because I was like, what? Like, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. No, but I'm definitely interested. I live in San Diego and I'm out in I'm out in California, not really knowing what's going on. I had a little bit of work on the side, Blake Bolden Athletics. My mentorship program and business was fine, but it wasn't working with the LA Kings. So that happened. I went through interviews. I met people like Rob Blake and had to introduce myself to player personnel Nelson Emerson, and all the boxes were checked. I seemed like I knew the game because I had been playing for so long, and I became a pro scout after that.
That is super freaking cool. So it's almost one of those things where you didn't go to school for it. You kind of at the right place at the right time. Obviously, you are a highly skilled woman in the sport. You have played at every freaking level for multiple teams. So you have been around it since you were a child. So, I mean, the job definitely fits. I've actually never talked to a scout before in any sport. So I find this very interesting. That's why I want to touch upon the topic. Not extensively, but I want the listeners to learn a little bit. And I'm very interested in it as well. What are some of your tasks that you have to do? Do you have to travel around? Do you scout like the collegiate kids? Do you like who exactly are you focused on when you're looking for somebody to be picked up by the LA Kings?
Yes, so the cool thing about the NHL, and probably any team, but the NHL specifically, they have different sectors. I mean, we have scouts all over the world, which is cool, right? Like, how do we get players from Europe? People are over there watching them. So we have different levels. We have amateur scouts, we have semi-pro, we have pro. And I am an AHL, American Hockey League, pro scout. And my region or area is the Pacific region. So all the Pacific region teams in the AHL are the people that I scout. Now, there are people that scout the OHL. There are people that scout high school. There are people all over the country and Canada that scout. But my specific role is pro scout, which is cool because I get to watch guys that are really, really fighting for that spot on the NHL, on their NHL roster. And so many things change, lineups change, injuries happen, replacements, contract negotiations, all of those things are happening at the same time. And as a scout, I have to kind of be knowledgeable of what's going on, what we need, what our general manager needs and wants, and to be able to convey that message to him so he can make the right decision for what we want on our squad.
This all sounds super interesting to me. So yes, you are correct. There are the different levels, and then you have people that are in high school, middle school. I don't know if they go that far back because kids are probably too young. But yeah, they have the NHL, the AHL. So you focus mainly on the AHL, and obviously you were a defenseman when you played the sport. So interesting question for both me and the listeners. Do you focus mainly on defensemen, or are you kind of looking at all positions? Like, can you actually scout goalies? Like, are you focused on one specific position, or are you kind of like scouting everybody?
I am scouting everyone. I will not say, well, we have a goalie position coach. We have goalie scouts. We have people that are experienced in targeting those individuals. So I don't have to worry about the goalies so much, but I should know a little bit about, their strengths, their weaknesses, their contracts, right? And yeah, I scout them all. I scout the forwards, I scout the D. I really think it's fun because being a scout now has changed my perspective and the way I watch any hockey game now for the future. I'm like analyzing players. I'm like, oh yeah, they kind of had this kind of game, or, especially if I've seen them more than once, you definitely want to see how they evolve in a season. And if they go upwards in their trajectory, scoring a lot of production or just an exceptional defenseman that can also come up in the rush and be offensive, or whatever role that they play, if they're really good at it, that's definitely something that we'll take a look at. And if they're available, if their contracts open, if there is free agency, and all those types of things.
I love how we are learning so much right now about what it means to be a pro scout. For those of you guys that are listening now to the Boss Wave Lifestyle Sports Podcast, Blake actually went from being a pro ice hockey player herself, and now she's actually scouting pros or potential pros that are going to be maybe moving up to the NHL. So I find this a very interesting topic of conversation. Have you had any top memories so far being a pro scout? I think you actually just started this year, correct?
I started in 2020. January 3rd was my first game. And
okay, so fairly new.
Yeah, so definitely fairly new. I still consider myself a rookie. Like, I rely heavily on my scouting partners, and I ask them 1,000,001 questions, because the thing that I've learned scouting is that there's not really a handbook, and every scout kind of has their own way about seeing the game and reporting the game, and how they're just perceiving it, right? It's subjective, which also makes it cool that there's a woman and that someone that might be a little younger, or the differences in opinions definitely helps shape a better picture for us to create a good product. Yeah, there's just been a lot of things that I've been learning, and I am never afraid to ask questions, because if you don't, then you're not doing your job right. I'm fortunate to have really cool scouting members that are like, oh, Blake, whatever you need, just let me know, little nuances, and all the websites to go to see all the stats and all the different tech, right? Because there's also like technology that goes into like shots on goal and like time on ice and plus minus and all these things that I can't see, but I can always go back and look and readjust and analyze it that way. So there's a lot of moving pieces and a really good team like environment that goes into building a team.
I had no idea that so much went into all this. Like, I kind of had somewhat of an idea because my boyfriend is obviously involved in professional baseball, and there's so many stats with that sport, and they have like the AA, they have AAA, they always have scouts going around and looking, and different position coaches. I guess it's like that in many sports, but again, I'm very grateful to be learning from an actual scout like yourself right now. Do you feel like you have to spend more time, obviously with COVID, it's probably a little bit different, but do you feel like you're spending more time at the rink scouting, or are you doing more like watching tape and watching video of these players?
Yeah.
Like, has it changed since COVID?
100%. Everything's changed. I think when I first started, I was on the road once or twice a week going somewhere. So I said I'm that Pacific region scout. So we have our northernmost team in the AHL, which is the San Jose Barracudas. And then we have the Colorado Eagles and the Arizona Coyotes. So there's definitely different points that I'm traveling or flying to or driving to at the beginning. And that was really fun. It was very exciting. It was taxing, but it was exciting to be able to like walk into a building feeling very important and whip out your notes and take notes, and then go home and write your report and talk about hockey with your other hockey scouts. And I thought that was really exciting. And then COVID hit, and then bam, everything shut down. NHL shut down, AHL shut down, youth hockey shut down. And so there was really nothing for us to do but wait to see what the NHL was going to move forward with all the COVID-19 procedures. And luckily, NHL playoffs started back up, and I was used, as all of the scouts were used heavily on scouting the AHL playoffs. So I got to look at NHL hockey, which was a privilege. We had Worlds happening in December of 2020 going into January, and that was cool because I could kind of see all of our new prospects, especially for our Ontario AHL team that were coming. And for Los Angeles, we have so many amazing prospects. We had 9 in the Worlds this year, and everybody just kept talking about it. Oh my gosh, the Kings prospects, they're going to be so great. And that to me is exciting and energizing for our franchise.
Well, it sounds like even though with the pandemic, you are still able to learn a ton and thrive within the industry. And again, I love learning about this topic. So again, thank you so much for coming on and teaching both me and the listeners a little bit about what it's like to not only become a scout, but learn. It sounds like you mentioned it yourself. You're sort of a rookie and you are being that sponge and absorbing all that information. Super freaking cool. Let's switch on over to talking about hockey sticks. Again, I enjoyed learning all about the fact that you are a scout. Maybe I could talk to you at the end of ice hockey season or the start of ice hockey season next year and maybe recap me on what the LA Kings are up to. I love to keep up with what people are doing. But you freaking are not only a badass woman on the ice, off the ice, and helping scout upcoming pros, you have your own ice hockey stick. It's called Be Bold. Again, it sounds like it's a play on words for your name, Blake Bolden. Limited edition sticks, I believe. You said that some are actually being sent out or released this week, and I saw that some are actually going out in June. So talk about this stick. Did you help create it? What is going on with this awesome ice hockey stick?
Yes, so I met a gentleman named Andy Sutton, who is a 16-year NHL vet. I was actually out in San Diego on a Sunday morning playing pickup, and he and I were just going at it because he was so skilled. I was so skilled, and I'm like, who is this guy? And he was like, who is this girl? And at the end of the skate, he came up to me and I was like, holy cow, girl, like you can skate. Where are you from? And we just cultivated a relationship. Come to find out, he's the owner of a company called Verbero, and they make hockey equipment. And he was into the niche of creating equipment and opportunity for women in the game. And he asked me, you know, Blake, you have a wicked shot. Like your release is crazy. Your slap shot is insane. Like maybe in the future we want to build a stick. And I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. I don't have any endorsements right now, so let's get a crack in. And I was in every single step and stage of creating and designing the stick. The 350 stands for the amount of grams and the heaviness, the weight of the stick. It's the lightest stick on the market. It's a mid to low kick point for viewers or listeners. If you don't know what that means, it means that the point of which you flex the stick. So every shooter has a flex on the stick, whether that's higher or mid or low. So for someone who takes a lot of slap shots, I need to have a mid-low kick point. It's custom made. It has my signature on it. It has my Be Bold slogan on it. It's red and black because red is a leadership color. And I just want people to be their authentic self and be bold.
I loved the stick. I've obviously looked it up online. And where can people purchase this if they are interested in purchasing it? Do you have a specific website? Is it linked on your Instagram? We will be shouting out your social media towards the end of the show, but feel free to do so right now as well. Where can people find these amazing custom sticks? And I know you said your signature is already on it, but are you doing like a special release where you're going to hand sign some of these too, or do some giveaways?
Yeah, I definitely giveaways in the future. I would love to do some hand signature sticks. We're trying to figure out how that would work because I'd have to be in person. I don't want 1,000 sticks being sent to my house and then having to ship them back. So we're thinking about that. But yeah, you can find the stick on verbero.com or blakebolden.com, my website. And because, you know, this is exclusive, you can have a 15% discount code if you use Blake in all caps. And yeah, they're being sent out in waves. So the first people that will ever have a custom Blake Bolden stick, which is the first stick ever created by a woman, made by a woman for a woman, but for men too, is coming out next week. So the people who already pre-ordered when it launched in February are going to have it in their hands next week. And I hope to get all the retweets in the Instagram posts so I can retweet and post it back. And I'm just really excited. It's so cool, right? It's just history, and I love making history.
That is super cool that you came out with your own stick. And for those of you guys that just heard Blake, she mentioned she has a specific discount code. It's Blake, Blake, all capitals, correct?
Yeah,
to receive 15% off on her website or the Verbero website. So please go ahead, check out her sticks. It's called Be Bold. Let me ask you, I know you were involved in it from top to bottom as far as designing it, as far as the weight, it sounds like, and the curve of the stick, like the shaft. Like, did you just design everything from top to bottom?
Well, I wanted, and we talked, and we wanted the shaft to be custom because Verbero's all about customization. So for me, I use a P92 or a P92. It's just a number that's just, it shows the curve of your blade. So there are different shafts that you can pick based off of your liking if you're a hockey player. And it's pick whatever you want, and you can make whatever stick you want, but it's just going to look exactly how I created it.
So again, guys, please go check out that website, get a custom stick built. Again, I will do a swipe up on my social media all weekend, and I will actually put up a photo of Blake on the Boss Babes Lifestyle Sports Podcast Instagram with her discount code. So feel free to go check that out. Again, you guys are now listening to Blake Bolden, athlete and LA King scout. She has done everything from playing at the collegiate level, pro level. She's obviously speaking about being a scout currently. So where is the future of Blake? Obviously, you have done so many things and you've accomplished so many things, but you are still freaking young. So where is Blake Bolden going to be at age 35, at age 40? Are you still going to be involved in the sport of hockey, or you don't know yet? You're just feeling it out?
Oh my God, hockey's going to be with me. It's in my blood now. So it's going to be with me for life. I just don't know exactly under what capacity, but I'm a king right now, and I'm loving it. And I have a great amount of appreciation for the Kings. In February, they rocked my last name and Willie O'Ree's name on the back of the jerseys for Black History Month. And there's just a really good feel there in Los Angeles. And I hope to win some Stanley Cups and to be a part of a winning franchise.
Well, best of luck to you. It sounds like you are going to be highly involved with the sport of ice hockey for many years to come. And Game Day Eats, you guys that are listening, you know I love talking to my guests about Game Day Eats. So girl, what do you like cooking? What does your mom like to cook for you? Where do you and your boyfriend like to go out to eat? Is there like Mexican restaurants or Asian? Like, what do you like to munch on for your Game Day Eats?
Well, game day is it's pretty specific because I tend to eat more of a vegetarian, vegan diet. So I really like to make some rice for the carbs, and I also love the veggies. So like rice, or have you ever heard of a Buddha bowl? Like Buddha bowl is pretty much a standard game day eat. So like chickpeas, broccoli, rice, like cooked carrots, and like some nice soy sauce or something, some kind of really good sauce on top. It's pretty easy, flavorful, sweet potatoes. And then, sometimes it's a morning game, and I'll just go with some oatmeal and some berries and call it a day because, I got the game day jitters in the afternoon, so I can't eat too much.
It sounds like some excellent Game Day Eats. And no, I've never had a Buddha bowl, but I'm going to have to Google it and see what that's about, because it sounds pretty delicious. I've heard of acai bowls, but I've never heard of a Buddha bowl. This almost sounds like the lunch version of an acai bowl.
Yeah, I would say that's a really good comparison. Acai bowls are amazing. I have acai bowls. It's like a tradition me and my boyfriend have. After a round of golf, we'll go out and get an acai bowl. Loser buys. So I love acai bowls, and Yeah, in California, I mean, we have really good food out in Cali, obviously good vegan dishes because that's kind of like vegan capital of the world, LA, Cali, in Southern California. So we have a very strong love for cauliflower wings. Those are like to die for, especially if the sauce is right. We like pizza. I love pizza. And I cook a lot. So I like to experiment in the kitchen. And actually, during this past quarantine or last year's crazy long stay at home, I made a cookbook, ebook that I just kind of was like, you know what? Let me just share my recipes with the world because I was posting photos. People were like, what is that? How do you make that? And so it's out there. You can find it on my website too.
People, if you want to find out what Blake is eating in the kitchen, look out for her ebook. I'm all about finding new recipes. I can actually smell right now. My boyfriend and his parents are grilling up some burgers, so I can't wait to eat them shortly.
Nice.
I'm all about the burgers and some shrimp and some seafood.
Oh, yeah.
So love eating healthy. So I'm gonna have to check out the Buddha bowls, and I love myself a good acai bowl. Positive pop,
Mhm.
Blake. What is your positive pop? I'm all about positivity on this podcast. Do you
Yeah.
have like a positive song that you like to listen to before a game? Or I don't know if you're spiritual, if you like to meditate or read something from the Bible. What is Blake Bolden's positive pop?
Well, I definitely like to meditate, and I think positive as far as feeling good. I love the song Sunday Best. I don't even know who really sings it, but it's like feeling good, like I should. Don't like play this. Probably it's really bad, but
Oh, that's cute.
it's
That's
such
cute. Feeling
it's such
good, like I should.
yeah. It's called Sunday Best. It's like got that sunshine on my Sunday best. Yeah, it's really good. Check it out. I don't know who sings it, but it always gets me going. I'm like, yeah, I am feeling good. Life is great.
That's awesome. That's some great positive pop. And to wrap up the show, I just wanted to thank you so much, Blake, for coming on the show. I can't wait to catch up with you maybe in a couple months, see what you've been up to, how your summer's been, maybe
Thank
how the
you.
playoffs are going and all that fun stuff. But where can people continue to follow you on social media? Again, shout out your social media one last time for everybody and your website one last time.
Yeah, you can follow me at Sport Blake. Pretty basic name, but I made it a while ago and I don't feel like changing it. Instagram, Twitter at Sport Blake. Like a page on Facebook if you want to, or you could follow me and find me on my website, blakebolden.com.
Awesome, my girl. We'll keep crushing it. Keep inspiring others to do great things. And I look forward to seeing what else you bring to the table, both for women's and men's sports.
Thanks, Britt. This was fun.